Hey, what's going on, guys? So today's video is about Steve Jobs' quote before he died. So when he was diagnosed, he left this quote, which was quite inspirational and thought-provoking. So I'm gonna read his quote.
The world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world. Try not to bash
into words too much. Try to have a nice family. Have fun.
Save a little money.
That's a very limited life.
But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own thing.
What does this mean to you or us? He's one of the greatest entrepreneurs. He's one of the most successful entrepreneurs for sure. He invented iPhone, Apple. He's also one of the most famous or popular non-conformist. He also left other quote: "Your time is limited, so don't waste your life and the time living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of other opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary." Steve Jobs. So your time is limited. Don't waste your life living for somebody else, because your time is limited. And you are here for your own life, not for somebody else's. So don't live your life to make other people happy, which makes you unhappy in return. So he's probably one of the greatest and also most popular non-conformists in this world, because he went against the conventional approach. He took the road less traveled, and that takes a lot of risks. It takes a lot of courage to go up against the street, because many people is gonna tell you like, oh, you cannot do this, oh, this idea is not gonna fly. Especially tech entrepreneurs, they usually need to go through multiple failures, mistakes before they have first success. Think about Elon Musk. Elon Musk started PayPal, and after that he started SpaceX and Tesla. Tesla was on the verge of going bankrupt in 2008 when he had an issue with finance. But now Tesla is going back again. Of course, there's a problem with Tesla right now, but the point is to become most of the past greatest entrepreneurs, scientists, and artists have one thing in common, which is non-conforming to the mainstream ideas, or what people could say or call it accumulated voices of other people. What parents have told them, what friends and teachers have told them. Basically, when you are blindly believing the accumulated voices of other people, then you start building what you should and what you shouldn't do in your life. Oh, I should go to college. I should graduate from university. I should major in this and that. And I should get a job at a prestigious company, as many people have done. Because in this society, there are a lot of should and shouldn't. Those rules, unwritten, implicit rules about what and how society thinks about successful life looks like. So good university, good company, good job, good money, stable, save up money, have fun, buy a house, buy cars, blah blah blah, right? And there are some truth to them, but they are not absolute. Those rules, what we call good life, are built basically by people who are no smarter than us, That's what the quote of Steve Jobs said. And so if you listen too much to other people's voice, your parents, your friends, your teachers, your critics, your haters, what are you gonna end up living is those other people's belief system. You're not going to live your life on your term, but you're living your life on somebody else's term, somebody else's rules. That shouldn't define who you are and how your life looks like. Because what other people think you should do doesn't necessarily make you happy, right? So another question is, some people is gonna tell you like, oh, you doing this and that. It doesn't need to be like, like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. It doesn't need to be about entrepreneurship, but it could be something about like simple as like a choice of what you study, or choice of which city to live, or choice of how you dress, choice of your career, choice of kind of people you hang out with. And they're always, almost every single things you do in your life, they are always like should and shouldn't. And those are called conventional, mainstream rules, and therefore it's sometimes called social conditioning and programming, because we are programmed, we are animals. By human nature, we are animals who like to conform to the mainstream group, because that gives us more confidence, assurance, and we don't like to be excluded, right? We like to fit in, and the pressure to fit in, pressure to conform to the tribe, because we are tribal. Going back like millions of years ago, the closest ancestor to our human species is tribal. So you need to understand our human nature and human psychology. Always look to find some conformism, group fitting in behavior. And it is much, much more difficult, riskier, feels riskier. It takes more courage to break out of that human nature, human psychology, and do something else. Because once you start doing something unique, to take advantage of your diversity, uniqueness in this world, which is your gift, right? Your uniqueness, some special thing, is diversity in this world, and you shouldn't suppress your diversity, your uniqueness, because this is your gift. You need to cherish your uniqueness for it to flourish in this world, because the world is waiting for something creative, something unique, and something diverse, which is one thing that I learned from reading Mastery by Robert Greene. But basically, if you try to go against that mainstream idea, like, you're going to swim up the upstream. This is another thing I learned from Sam Walton, founder of Walmart. If you go against the stream, the river, you're gonna encounter a lot of critics and haters, and then a lot of discouraging opinions about judgment from people like, oh, you cannot do this, or you are going to fail, this is not gonna fly, right? And that's okay, because you're being creative, you're challenging the status quo. And by that the natural act of creativity is boldness, rebellion. So you are going to have some ideas fall through for sure. And that's when you need to be strong, and you need to listen to your heart and intuition. Because many people is gonna say, oh, here you go, I told you, you're not gonna make it, this idea is not gonna fly. And that's okay, because creative ideas by nature act of boldness and then rebellion. So some ideas might fly, some ideas not. The point is not to succeed for the first time. The point is to follow your intuition and soul, to let your uniqueness and diversity in this entire world flourish, so that the world can find something unique. So it doesn't matter if it takes 10 shots or 100 shots, maybe 1,000 shots, because all it matters is the last shot, right? Like, they're one of the greatest scientists. I can't remember if that was Newton or some scientists 200 years ago, 100 years ago. I think it was Newton or somebody else, the dropping apple from his hand to the ground, the gravity or Einstein, basically, they didn't make 1,000 mistakes. They just made 1,000 experiments to find a optimal or the solution or result, to find a path. So it's the way you look at things. You can change your perspective. Basically, you can look at those things that didn't work out as miserable failures, as from a negative perspective, or you can see those things from positive and optimistic perspective as, oh, I just found out 1,000 things that didn't work. So with that mindset, basically with the creativity, right? It's about finding your own intuition in the soul, like listening to your intent, your voice, and going for that, as opposed to having the pressure and then being kind of forced to conform to the mainstream media, because everybody's gonna say, if you're going through your own path, your career, your choice of city to live, a lifestyle to live, no matter what, no matter how good you are, there are always gonna be critics and haters. At the bottom, people is not gonna respect you. At the middle, people is gonna still ignore you. At the top, there's still people who's gonna be hating on you for your success. So regardless of what you do, there's always going to be some people who are not gonna like what you do or who you are. So the gist is, you shouldn't be caring too much about what other people think or say about you, because those voices don't define who you are. Those voices are actually accumulated voices of other people, like teachers, friends, and that tell you who they are, not who you are. If they tell you, oh, you cannot do this or you can't do this, that doesn't define who you are or your capability or your inability, lack thereof. It defines who they are. Their subjective perception of the world is, they don't challenge themselves to try something unique and creative because they are scared of making mistakes. They're scared of looking embarrassed. And that's the definition of them, not you. So make a clear distinction between what that means to you versus them. So most of the time, when somebody is unkind or somebody is not treating you right, it doesn't say much about you or who you are. It doesn't define who you are. It defines who they are. It tells you that those people don't treat people nicely, which means maybe they didn't get treated right. Maybe they need to have, some kind of a forgiveness exercise going through to let go of some bad, negative past. It doesn't necessarily define who you are. So on a closing note, all I wanted to say is that there are always going to be some people who don't like you, and your job is to not get sucked into that kind of negative or unconstructive accumulated voices about other people, because that doesn't give you any empowerment, right? And if they are right, then Steve Jobs or Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, they didn't make these great inventions, not just limited to current time, but going back to the past. Think about Einstein, think about Leonardo da Vinci, think about Mozart, think about Charles Darwin, theory of evolution. All those greatest scientists, artists, entrepreneurs, they went against the mainstream ideas. They fought against the pressure to fit into the group, right? And if you hear somebody saying something like, "Oh, you cannot do this. You should, you are wrong. Like you're weird. You're strange because of the way you dress or because of your inclination or something else." Just think that defines who they are. Their mind is limited. They think they cannot do anything outside what society, other people told them. They have strong boundaries of what they should and they shouldn't, what they can and what they cannot do. Their reality is defined by other people. That's what that means when you hear that kind of stuff from them. So don't let those voices of other people define your reality, because you're different. Your job here, while you're alive in this short limited time in this world, is to let your creativity and uniqueness come alive in this real world, so that you can push your human species forward. Right? Those people are trying to drag you down, pull you down, and then they try to cast some rules, stifling, limiting rules, so that they can basically make you stay in the same place. So almost always, should and shouldn't, those conformism are stifling rules. So whenever they tell you, oh, so you didn't like studying arts and you switched to science. If you didn't even succeed in arts, you wouldn't be able to succeed in science. What the heck is that logic? Or people might say, oh, you didn't like living in this city and then you moved to other city. You know what? If you didn't like the city A, then you probably don't like city B either. Same thing, like different thing. Like it's stupid, right? It's so stupid, but some people say, oh, you know what? If you cannot even love this job because this is a pretty good job, everybody should love this job. No, that's not true. But people say, oh, you should be happy with this job. If you're not happy, then switching job doesn't help you. There's something wrong within you. People might tell you, but it's not clearly true. You know, it's not based on the facts, right? Because everybody has their own inclinations. They have different interests. They have something they want differently. So recently some people told me like, oh, if you didn't like country A and country B, then there's something wrong with your personality or something wrong with your belief system, because, you know, country A and country B are great countries. That's not based on the fact. Yes, A and B are great, but those are not objective. You know, everybody has some subjective taste and inclination and preferences to whatever they want to do. Could be country, could be city, could be hobby, could be career, job, could be people to hang out with, relationship, food, anything. So whenever people try to pose some limiting, stifling, should and shouldn't, just ignore them, because at the end of the day, as Steve Jobs said, this is the end. The world is the way it is, and your life is just to be a life inside the world of should and shouldn'ts. Until now. But now you know, as Steve Jobs said, life can be much broader once you discover this one simple fact. That is, everything around you of the perception of what you should and shouldn't do is actually created by people in the past. In the past, some people were rigid, some people were strictly religious, some people were not up to date, some people were not as innovative. Think about all that, right? So those people made up those rules about world, social conditioning. And those people are no smarter than you. You just need to question about those rules. Okay, it's hard because beliefs are invisible. It's hard to pinpoint, and we are indoctrinated from the childhood when we are 2, 3, 5 years old. Our people, parents and teachers and friends, indoctrination thing happened when our mind are most flexible like a sponge, and we didn't have a critical mind to actually assess. So it's hard, but you need to do that to be great, to expand and capitalize, maximize your potential, and eventually to contribute more to the world. Because by letting go of yourself from those stifling, limiting rules of should and shouldn't, but conformism, you're going to create something unique, right? Because you need to take advantage of your diversity. Because if we are all the same, this world is not very interesting. So your job, your task, your life task is to not let your creativity, your uniqueness, your diversity die, be suppressed by those stifling rules. Instead, you need to let that come alive to the world, because the world is waiting for you, your uniqueness, your different diverse perspective. So go find that uniqueness, and don't let other people define who you are, what your life should look like. You live your own life for your own sake. for your own turn, not for somebody else. Those people who tell you to listen to other people's voice, that tells you that their life is shrinking by accumulating voice of others. That's not that empowering, right? With that said, I'll see you guys next time. Alright, today's video was a little bit motivational thing. I wanted to kind of get out because I was reading books, and this really applies to everything. Not just career, not just about, the lifestyle, but everything. So hope you had some, interesting perspective on this video. With that said, I will see you guys next time, okay? Have a good night. Bye-bye.